South of Baton Rouge, along the 8-Meat River, near the old Phillips farm, there's no brick and mortar, just a boiling cauldron of human disorder. Tammy's Cafe, serving up grits with a side of murder.
Welcome, y'all.
That was a... Did we do it right, Chandler?
I'll do it.
Fucking okay.
I was waiting for the countdown.
I don't know. I'm so confused. You know what? We're fucking leaving that in there and we'll figure it the fuck out.
I love that we're confused. It makes it more fun.
We have a new technician in the studio, a new sound engineer.
It's Bing.
Chandler Bing is in the house. Not the one from Friends, though. No. So Austin said, welcome, y'all. And Heidi is also here.
We are.
And they are wearing their day drinker shirt. And
because we are at your house and we've been day drinking. Duh.
I wish I could find mine. I could match y'all.
I don't know that mine was supposed to be the match.
I'm glad it fit, though.
His nipples are showing, though.
That's okay. All right. Anything new with y'all?
Well, we're at your house and today's your birthday.
It is my birthday.
Your speed limit. I'm not sure you want that broadcast.
55.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I'm kicking your heels.
That's
I'm
right.
there.
You're right behind me.
It's Tammy's birthday. We love her so much.
So y'all are drinking Bud Light and I'm drinking Crown.
We've been in your pool all afternoon.
Doing that.
With your husband and your in-laws.
Chilling.
Having a great day.
To the max.
Having a great day.
Trying this recording thing again. We'll see how it goes. The video, that is. We always do audio. Are y'all ready for a story?
Absolutely. Hit us.
It starts in 1999.
We're going to party like it's 1999. Oh, wait. We already did that.
Do you want to know some of the things that were going on?
Y2K.
Y2K. Columbine High School.
Oh, no
massacre.
Way.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I never really read or saw anything about that. So I know kind of the gist of what happened, but I'm not.
It was the first one that started it all.
Yeah.
Awful.
It was a terrible incident.
It was, yeah.
Awful.
The Sopranos started.
Love
hey,
that.
you calling me a
Love that.
ghost? You calling me a ghost? That was for you, Cole. The Sixth Sense came to the big
Great
screen.
Movie.
I love that one.
That one surprised me.
Me too.
Why didn't I figure it out?
I usually figure out movies.
Me too.
Like, oh, this is what's going to happen. On that note, y'all remember if you have any real life spooky dooky stories that you've experienced, send them to me.
Like ghosty stuff?
Yeah.
Well, you know, my little tiny 900 square foot house is haunted.
Well, please.
I have no proof.
Tell us about it.
I'll get there. I'll get there.
Next time we pod,
I'll get there.
Have a story written. Okay.
And the biscuits go off in the refrigerator.
They pow. They go pow, pow, pow. And maybe you just have your fridge setting too high.
No, it's okay.
All right. We're going to Jacksonville, Florida.
Where Austin was born and raised.
Where you have lived the
I've
majority
been there
of your
40 damn years.
Okay. And for those of you who don't know, Jacksonville is the northern East Coast, very close to Georgia.
Exactly.
Okay. I lived there for 10 years. July 1999, so you know it's hot. Sharabia Mack went over to her sister's house because she couldn't get a hold of her sister. She knocked on the door. She knocked, no answer. She went to the neighbors. Have you seen my sister? And he's like, I saw her this morning, but I haven't seen her since then. Well, the reason why she went over to her sister's house, who was 24-year-old Tyresa Mack, she was a single mom with 3 kids, and she had missed picking the kids up from daycare that afternoon.
Red flag.
Yeah. Which her sister said the sun rose and set on those kids. She would not have left them. So Sharabia begged the neighbor to break down her sister's door, and he did. And she starts going through the house and nothing seemed out of place. But when she got to her sister's bedroom, it was a horrible scene. Blood everywhere. She could tell right when she looked at her sister that she was dead. She had a telephone cord, I think it was, wrapped around her neck. And you could tell there had been a struggle in the room. Like everything was like knocked over.
Yeah.
Comforter, just everything was a mess.
Disarray.
Yeah. So Detective Rodney McKean from the Sheriff's Department was called to the scene. And Tyrese's house was only 2 blocks from that particular sheriff's station. So they were close. They got there quick. And the detective said he could tell by looking at the bedroom there was a violent attack that happened in there. Her clothes were partially removed. Like I said, telephone cord wrapped around her neck.
Oof.
She had been raped. He noticed that she had a ring on one of her fingers on her left hand because the ring mark was there, but the ring wasn't there. You know how you get like a suntan or...
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Right now.
I have an indent in my finger where mine is. That's just the fat peeling around the middle.
The drinking and the salt.
So he was also looking around and saw, like in the living room, you know how you have your entertainment center and the TV sits in the middle of it?
Yes.
Well, when you take it out, it's all dusty. Well, he saw like there was a imprint of dust where a TV had been sitting. So he figured the ring was stolen.
Robbery. Yeah.
Yes. And I think they got, let's see. I'll get there. Tyrese's family couldn't think of anybody really that would hurt her or any reason why anybody would want to hurt her. There was no sign of forced entry.
So it just looked like a robbery.
Well, her family said she would never let a stranger into her house, so it had to be somebody she knew.
Most of the time it is.
Yep. And 2 witnesses in the neighborhood said they saw a tall black man leaving the house around noon. One of them saw him carrying a TV out. The family came up with 4 men's names that could have been involved. I don't know. Maybe they were boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But they went over those 4 guys. They were cleared. So I'm not even going through who they were and all that stuff. So, of course, police go back, trace her steps through the day. She had dropped the kids off at daycare, and then Tyrese spent the morning looking for a new job because her littlest one was sick and she was out of work a lot. So her employer was like, "You can't work here anymore."
Done.
Yeah,
You're out.
So she headed back home. She wanted to cool off, regroup before she had to go pick up the kids and then take the baby, the one that was sickly, to the doctor's office. She never showed up, so the daycare workers brought the kids to Grandma's house, which I think is pretty nice.
That's odd. But if it's a neighborhood daycare.
Yeah, it could be like in somebody's house, you know.
Right. True.
So the autopsy did produce a semen sample.
Ugh.
They ran it through the system, and the suspect was not in the database. They also got fingerprints from the scene. Also not in the system. So they've checked out all the recommended, maybe this guy did it. They've talked to the neighbors. They don't have anything. They're out of leads. It's kind of going cold. Weeks turn into months. Months turn into 4 years.
Yikes.
So we're talking January 1st, 2003. 19-year-old Nakia Kilpatrick is pregnant with her 3rd child.
19?
Yep.
Great. Her
friend Sarah couldn't get a hold of Nakia for several days. So she went over to her house and knocked on the door. And sometimes like you're laying in, you listen if you can hear anybody in the house. Well, she hears something. So she runs around inside, looks in a window. She sees one of the kids fiddling with the blinds, trying to look out. She also sees Nakia on the floor not moving.
Oh, God.
Half in the bathroom, half out of the bathroom.
Yuck.
So the 2 kids that were in there, one was 11 months old, one was two years old.
Oh, my God. How many days did they survive?
So Sarah ran for the police, I'm going to tell you, and the kids had been in the house with their dead mom for 2 days. 2 days, toddlers. The 11-month-old might not even been walking. You know what I'm saying?
No.
The 2-year-old probably even couldn't communicate
No.
what happened.
Oh, he's doing his crying.
Yeah.
Wanting his mom.
Probably with a dirty diaper on. I don't know many 2-year-olds that are
No, zero.
potty trained. So the CSI and homicide detectives, they go inside the house, they get the babies, and they could see where the kids were trying to get the food, like open boxes of cereal and stuff. The kids were okay. I'm just going to say that right there. But they start to examine Nakia Kilpatrick's body. There was a TV cable around her neck, no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, but they did get semen from her body. They talked around to all the neighbors. Either no one saw anything or no one was telling what they saw.
Well, that's like when my car got stolen and ended up on West 21st Street, and not one person would say anything about it.
Nobody never sees anything.
No, nobody wants to be a snitch.
Nope.
So they tried. There's no leads. They don't know who did this. 10 days later, January 10th, 2003, they get another call. And I think about a mile away from Nakia's house, they find Shawanda McAllister, who is a 20-year-old nursing assistant. She was also pregnant.
Oh, my God.
And she had been strangled and raped. This is like a mile away from Nakia's house. So Shawanda did have a live-in boyfriend, Rashid. Of course, they always going to start with the man who,
Of course.
the woman's dating or her husband or whatever. This is the story he told. He was going to school for plumbing, and he would go to class around 8 o'clock at night. He said he came home around 10, and Shawanda opened the door. He could hear a man in there. He lived with her, okay? She's like, you just need to go away right now. I'll explain it later, but you need to go away right now. And he's like, just let me in. I forgot my key. So he said she slammed the door. He went away. A couple hours later, he came back. She didn't answer the door, so he went around the side and broke in through one of the windows of their apartment or their house or whatever. And that's when he finds Shawanda dead in the house.
Well, why would she send him away if somebody was in there threatening her?
Well, even if you send him away, it would be like if you slammed the door in my face, there would be...
You wouldn't have left. You wouldn't have left. You'd
right
made
then.
Sure you got in there somehow. That's weird.
Yeah. Well, the cops are probably going, okay, is he bullshitting us to cover his own did he kill her?
True.
So her ankles were tied with a TV cord, an electrical cord tied around her neck, just like these other murders. They were able to get semen and one other clue. They found an ATM receipt that showed that Shawanda went to the ATM and took out $230, and the ATM timestamp was around 8:30 p.m.
So she was being held hostage and made to go withdraw some cash.
That's why he went to school at 8. The guy probably took her to the ATM machine, made her take the cash out, brought her back to the apartment, raped her, tied her up, strangled her, did all that.
It's too bad she couldn't just give a little clue, like she said, don't come in, but she should have said, help me or something,
I know. I mean, I feel like I would know all the right things to do, but...
I know, but in this situation, you don't. You really don't.
We don't know if somebody was holding a gun to her head.
True.
If somebody's holding a gun to my head, I probably won't...
Say whatever they tell you to say.
But you would think you would see it in their facial expressions, some kind of something.
Terror.
Yeah, I mean, you can usually see if somebody's just...
Terrified, scared.
Exactly.
I agree. He didn't pick up on it, or she didn't indicate.
It seems that whoever it is doing this is just finding very vulnerable women.
Yes. And
you probably went to high school with him.
I was actually kind of waiting to see if I'd see what side of town it might be on.
I'm going to tell you where it is. So the police, from the ATM receipt, they go back to the bank and they...
Stop touching the microphone.
Have we not learned this in Pensacola? No. Okay, so They go to the bank. They're like, hey, we have this receipt. Can you pull up the footage from the ATM? Because, they all have cameras.
Perfect.
They see Shawanda taking the money out. They see a car behind her. It's nighttime. It's dark. The headlights of the car are on. They see a light on top of the car. I automatically, both your faces are like,
Cop,
what?
right?
That's immediately where my brain went. Cop.
Taxi.
You hit the nail on the head. It was a taxi. Okay, so they couldn't see who was inside the cab, and they couldn't see the name of the cab company on the car on the video. 2 witnesses in the area remember seeing a Gator City cab close to Shawanda's house. Do they still have Gator City cab?
That used to be the only
Cab.
taxi service.
Well, the neighbors said they remember seeing Gator City cab around 9 or 9:30 in the area. A witness also saw a black male getting into a cab around 11 p.m. We don't have exact times. They're just estimating. Police obviously go to Gator City Cab Company and they talk to the drivers. Well, when they go that day, not all the drivers are there. The drivers that are there. So the people that live in this area take cabs frequently. I'm assuming they couldn't afford their own vehicles or they didn't want to take the bus or whatever. So a lot of the cab drivers knew these ladies, but didn't know anything. They didn't go pick them up that night, the night of the murder, the day of the murder, the night of the murder, they didn't pick them up.
They just used cabs a lot.
Yeah.
I need to go to the... have Uber and Lyft back then.
Well, I need to go to the grocery store. I don't have a car,
Yes.
Yeah, we definitely didn't have anybody to bring the food to you in 1999.
DoorDash, none of that. No.
A couple weeks later, we're still in January 2003. A man working at a construction site hears a bunch of dogs barking, and he goes over to see what the dogs are barking about, and he finds a deceased black woman, in the ditch of the construction site. He immediately calls the police. They come out not far from where the construction guys saw the first body. The police find a second body.
Ugh.
Both of them were strangled. Their families had reported them missing a few days earlier. And the 2 victims were 17-year-old Giovanna Jefferson and 19-year-old Sarita Cohen.
I don't remember any of this.
And they were found off of New Kings Road.
And I live a half a mile from New Kings Road.
And that's where they were found.
Today.
So,
wow.
if that gives you any...
Yeah, it does. Well, there's New Kings up on the north side. Right,
well, by my terminal.
Yeah,
That sounds...
You know how Jacksonville has names, and then it'll change names, and then it's another name, so there is New Kings up on the north side.
Yeah, this near my terminal.
It is. It has to be where it is.
So, the police talked to the families of these 2 girls. Giovanna's family says the morning of her disappearance, she was talking to the phone on the phone to a man that she called D, just the letter D. Detectives went through her phone records, eliminated all but 1 phone number, and that belonged to a man named Paul DeRusso. So that could be your D, DeRusso.
Honestly, that name is ringing a bell.
So at this point, these are happening kind of close together, but whoever was on call at the time or on duty, they've got different teams working these cases, but they decide the best thing to do is bring everybody in one room. Let's all share information and see what we can figure out. So they do that, and one of the detectives in the room mentioned a person from a cab company. And someone else said, well, what's the cab driver's name? And it was Paul DeRusso. So now we're kind of starting to connect the dots.
Hone it in a little bit.
They're piecing things together. They start talking serial killer at this point. And they knew they needed to find Paul DeRusso and talk to his ass. His ass. So let's recap. First 5 weeks of a new year, 4 young black women had been killed. Nakia, Shawanda, Giovanna, and Sarita. They're not thinking about the very first one I told you about, Tyresa Mack. That was 4 years ago, remember?
Oh, yeah.
They don't even know that could even be related at this point.
But they had DNA from that murder.
They did. Nothing in the system.
Nothing in the system, so.
And of course,
But it might match up eventually.
Yeah, and with the semen samples. Hold on, let me pour a drink.
I think you should pour a drink.
With the semen samples, I mean, they're going to have DNA from the other murders too. They just don't have anybody in the system to match it up
We're
to.
more advanced at that point where they can just like keep it and wait until there's a hit on it or whatever.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I think we were sharing information. There was a database at that point, but I don't know that we were necessarily collecting it if somebody hadn't been arrested for a certain level of offense. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's an automatic thing now. And I don't know if that's Louisiana or across the whole U.S.
I'm not sure.
But if you get arrested for some type of sexual assault, they're taking your DNA no matter what. So, all right. The community's terrified, obviously. They're looking for Paul DeRusso, and they look at his background first because they want to know what they're dealing with. At the age 22, I'm just going to tell you a little bit. I'm not going to go into where he was born and all that. At the age of 22, Paul enlisted in the Army, and he was stationed in Germany, and that's where he met his wife, who was also in the Army. She was stationed there, too. So they got married, and then they were reassigned to Fort Benning in Georgia.
Okay.
And he had 2 daughters with her. While they were in Georgia, Paul got in trouble with the law. His first arrest was for carrying a concealed weapon. No big deal, probation. He had multiple domestic violence and sexual battery charges.
Yuck.
Red flags everywhere.
The problem was he didn't ever do any real jail time. He would plead the charges down or they would be dismissed.
They never do.
The charges.
They're smart. They're smart.
Sometimes some of the ladies, and I'm not saying that this is the case here because I don't know for sure. But, some ladies, when it comes time to take the guy to trial, they don't want to even look at him again. So without her as a witness, they can't take him to trial. So anyway, when he was arrested in Georgia for kidnapping and rape, but he got cleared of those charges. January 1999. So we're kind of backtracking a little.
How do you get out of that, though?
You can't.
That's mind-boggling.
I don't know.
Like, how did he get cleared?
I don't know.
Anyway, he did.
So we're backtracking a little bit. Remember some of this stuff, the murders were 2003, but we started in 2009.
Yes.
1999.
Yes.
That's when Paul was dishonorably discharged from the Army because he was found to be in possession of stolen goods. Not all the sexual shit. Stolen goods. And that's when he picked up his family and moved to Jacksonville.
He's just rotten through and through.
He can eat a bag of dicks. So, in 1999, I guess he was having some domestic violence issues because the police got with his wife and told her how to file a restraining order. So that was on record. He allegedly slapped her and grabbed her by the neck. And later on, she testified that anytime she talked about divorce, he got super violent and super angry. So.
Classic narcissist.
I feel bad for women that are like, I don't know. She's stuck in this. September and October 2001. DeRusso did spend 45 days in jail for domestic battery.
Good.
Not with his wife.
Jeez.
He is all over the place with women folk. He was having a relationship with a woman who accused him of having an affair. And when she did that, he flipped the fuck out and beat the shit out of her and raped her.
Oh my God.
Yes. And he got arrested for that. They did take a sample of his DNA. But he pled down to a lesser.
Why do they always fucking get off?
No.
Bad ones
when he
can figure it out.
When they took a sample of the DNA, was it they able to?
Well, here's the thing. He pled down to battery. So I don't think battery is a case where they're going to put your DNA in the system. Gotcha. Okay. So I'm going to assume that's why his DNA was in the system, but I don't know that for sure. But I'm going to tell you something about, this is a sidebar. I didn't know this. In Florida, once you're arrested, y'all might know this because you live there.
Try to avoid being arrested, but
No, I mean, you might just know this part of the law. I didn't mean that you had gotten arrested before. So once you're arrested, the clock starts ticking, and you have a certain amount of time from the date of the arrest to bring the suspect to trial. If you don't make your case in that amount of time, it's over.
It's gone.
It's done. So that might have been another reason why he was always getting off of shit, because maybe they had bigger fish to fry. He raped someone, but somebody over here murdered 10 people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You never know. Again, I don't know why he kept getting off, but he did.
He probably kept doing, like they say, speedy trial or something like that.
Maybe. I don't know. But I didn't. I just wish I knew, because a lot of times when I'm doing stories, I'm always like, why do they wait? They know it's person A, but they don't arrest him for 6 months.
Right.
Well, maybe
and then
it's,
he's doing 10 other things.
Yeah.
During that 6 months.
Maybe it's because they only have X amount of time from arrest to bringing him to trial, and they're trying to build a case on him before they even arrest him.
That could be too.
That's what I'm thinking. All right. So back to Paul. He did his 45 days in jail. One of the conditions of his probation was that he was supposed to attend psychosexual counseling. What the fuck is that?
Thing?
Okay, now.
I'm really glad that we don't know what that is, actually.
I have never heard of that
I haven't
before.
Either.
So, like, they're trying to build this case on him, and they're keeping their eye on him, and they're doing all this research on him. He hasn't been attending his psychosexual counseling sessions, so they're able to arrest him on violation of parole.
Perfect.
So, I mean, a violation of probation. So, you know, they make a plan to arrest him, surround the house, bust in, know what that's like. Right, Chandler?
Sorry. Flashback. We keep talking about it. Poor Chandler.
So they bust in there, take him into custody, no incident. And it's that point forward where they build their case. They have the certain amount of time. Okay. You remember they had DNA at all these places?
Yes.
Cop A calls Cop B over there and says, hey, when y'all had Paul over there for the sexual assault, did y'all keep his DNA in the kit or whatever in the evidence? And they were like, yeah, it's going to take us a few days to find it, but I'm pretty sure we have it. So they hide his DNA, even though it wasn't in the system. And they pull it. And it's a positive match to Nikita and Shawanda.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So cops are like, we got him. We got this son of a bitch. They arrest him and they charge him with 5 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of child abuse.
Good. Because
of the 2 babies. So they start interrogating him. He's smug as fuck, arrogant. He's gotten away with shit for so long.
That's right. He feels like he's the king
of
it all.
Yeah.
You're never going to catch me.
So they bring him in the room, and they've got on the wall the timeline of the whole, the murders, everything. They've got pictures of the victims. He doesn't flinch. We've got your DNA matching such and such and such and such. I had never had sex with those women. Just smug. So the media was calling him the Jacksonville Strangler. Does that ring a bell?
It does. I mean, even his name when you said
the DeRusso, that's what.
Paul DeRusso.
Yeah.
So get this. Cops are confident. DA says, we're not taking him. I'm not taking this case. I'm not taking him to. It's all circumstantial. That's what he says.
DNA is not, though.
But he can argue, I had sex with them consensually.
Yeah.
And in a couple of them, I mean, obviously the woman was raped, but in a couple of them, they couldn't tell if it was rape or consensual. She was obviously violently strangled after the fact, but the rape part, they couldn't tell in a couple of the murders.
That's just stupid.
So are they saying basically, okay, we can prove that there was sex involved, but that would be it. That doesn't say you murdered anybody.
Exactly. I had sex with her, but I didn't kill her. She was alive when I left.
But it happened 5 minutes after you had sex with her, so.
The DA wouldn't take it.
Wow.
So they started digging through their old cold cases to find out if basically they're scrambling at this point, trying to find witnesses. They're going through cold cases.
Trying to make a case.
The one detective remembers Tyresa Mack, which is the very first one I told you about. And the cold case unit pulled about a dozen cases, including Tyresa's, to have the lab analyze the DNA. So they took the 4-year-old DNA sample from Tyresa, and it was a match to Paul DeRusso.
But again, would that prove that he killed her or just that he raped her?
It wouldn't.
Even all these rapes should be...
It wouldn't. Yeah, even all the rapes at the very least. But again, he could just say we had consensual sex.
Right.
The thing about Tyresa was there was 2 witnesses. So if we can get those 2 witnesses to say, this is the guy I saw at the house, this is the guy I saw in the cab, then we're getting less circumstantial and more substantial. So the police went back to the 2 witnesses, brought them a photo lineup. They call it a 6-pack. They immediately pointed to Paul DeRusso.
Were you in the lineup?
No, I don't think so.
No, Paul was
Not this
black.
time.
Austin's white.
I don't have that good of a tan now. I'm working on it.
I think his facial hair would be a dead giveaway.
Yeah, no doubt.
People would remember
But
that.
you shave that off. You're home clean, man. You're home clean. So both witnesses said it was him. So the DA was like, all right, we're taking him to trial, but only for Tyresa Mack, the very first one. The trial lasted 2 weeks, and he was convicted of first-degree murder. And on December 13th, 2007, he got the death sentence.
Really?
Lethal injection. Well, that's what was his... I want to say diagnosis. That's not the word.
No.
That was his sentence. It wasn't carried out then, but that's what the judge handed down. And of course, he made an appeal. Denied. Eat a bag of dicks.
Good.
However, December 2021, which is not too long ago,
No.
his death sentence was reduced to life in prison without parole. So he's still in there. Bottom line on this guy, I mean, I could have really expanded on a lot of his background, but a lot of sources said he killed more than these 5 women we've talked about.
Probably.
They feel like he killed women in Germany while he was there. Obviously, he didn't care about cheating on his wife because he was going with all these different women and having sex with them and killing. They are pretty sure that there was at least 2 in Georgia that he killed. So he's where he should be. I feel like he should get the death sentence. But from what I understand, the jury that had to determine whether it was going to remain a death sentence or become a life in prison, they were 10-2 and couldn't come up with 100% death.
Well, sometimes I think living your life out in prison is worse than just offing it, but
Definitely a punishment.
Then again, our tax dollars at work, and we have to feed them and house them.
I agree. I know.
There's 2 ways to look at that. It's like you said, being in prison your full life and living under the conditions.
Right.
To then...
And
like
possibly dropping the soap while you're in the shower. There's all kinds of hazards that go along with being in prison. He sounded like he was a charmer, so they probably made him a lady man while he was there.
I don't know nothing about
He's still alive.
Lord.
He's still alive. He's still there.
Which prison?
I'm not sure because I didn't write it down.
That's all right.
But let me tell you where I went. DailyMotion.com, FirstCoastNews.com, Wiki, and Murderpedia. And there was something I watched Blood, Lies, and Alibis is a show. And it was on Paul DeRusso, the Jacksonville serial killer. So that's the story. I pulled that one for y'all.
That's cool as
because
shit.
it's your hometown. Well, not your hometown, Heidi, but that's where you...
40 years.
I mean, you can call it your hometown then.
Yes, I can.
Let me see if I can pull up some really quickly, because I did not print any. Stupid criminal stories. Let's see.
We have to end on at least one.
I'm going to click on this. Georgia murder suspect tracked down after leaving phone behind at dine and dash scene. A Georgia man wanted for murder was busted after he left his phone with a photo of his face on the lock screen at a restaurant where he and his friends dined and dashed. Brian Garfield Fort and pals walked out of the Juicy Crab in Cobb County without paying after running up a $100 tab. The group drove off, and the restaurant staff called the police.
And he left his phone.
Yeah.
But then they found out he murdered somebody.
Yeah. So, I wanted to say it was the Krusty Krab. That
doesn't sound delicious, though.
Not really at all.
That doesn't sound appetizing.
Okay, this one I have to click on.
All right, let's see what it says.
Thief caught after trying to rob the same bank 2 days in a row.
Oh, he failed the first time. Let's just go back tomorrow.
They say criminals always return to the scene of the crime, but a bumbling California bank robber didn't even wait a day before he came back to the branch he allegedly knocked over. Samuel Brown, 33, was busted after he tried to rob the same Fountain Valley Chase Bank 2 days in a row. The San Diego resident took off with a large amount of cash after he slipped a stick-up note to the teller at the New Hope Street Chase at 3 p.m. on Monday. I don't know the date because it doesn't say. But the dough apparently wasn't enough for Brown, who came back the next morning and tried to rob it again. Police arrived at around 11:15 a.m. and arrested him without incident.
I love it.
Brown had an outstanding arrest warrant and a rap sheet that included previous robbery convictions in San Diego. And he was held on bail of $170,000 in Orange County jail, facing multiple robbery charges.
I love it.
There's your stupid criminals.
Stupid criminals. That was California. That wasn't Florida man.
No, it was California man and a Georgia man, right?
And a Georgia man. Yeah.
So,
close enough.
don't leave your phone behind after committing murders.
Or wear light-up shoes as you're running down the street.
Oh, God. Is that true? Is that a
Your
real thing?
father-in-law was telling me that story.
Oh,
earlier.
what? A man got caught because...
He had them blinky shoes on, and he robbed something, and then they just waited at the end of the road until the man with the blinky shoes came
Yeah,
running
okay,
by.
the blinky shoes. It was him.
Yeah.
I mean, aren't blinky shoes for toddlers? I mean, is that something that grown men
You know
wear?
what? The handler wears them when he's performing on the stage.
Oh, well, that's a different...
Janet doesn't like them. But he hasn't worn them in a while, but I love them.
Well, as a performer, I would think that they would be
think it's
okay.
cool.
As a robber, not so
Not
much.
a good idea.
No. Thank y'all so much for doing this.
It was fun. We've been day
Absolutely.
drinking with Tammy.
Day drinking all
Day on
day.
Tammy's birthday.
You can't day drink if you don't start in the morning.
That's
He's a
right.
speed limit.
So I have to say, 2 Patreon members,
Oh,
new.
good. Awesome.
Bobby, thank you very much. And Selena, and I'm not clicking on this yet, but I'm pretty sure she's from Canada.
Awesome.
Who's a Patreon member. So we appreciate y'all so much. And we have the podcast People's Choice Awards nominations now open.
Is it coming up?
It's,
All right.
it's now open. And we're going to have 2 steps to this process. One, people go in their email and, well, they have to give their email. I'm going to put the link out there. These people aren't going to spam you. We're in 2 categories, best true crime and best female host, I think. And then if we make it through the nomination part and become in the top 10, then you'll have to go and vote.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
Tell us what to do.
Yes, I will. Not today because
No.
I don't have it pulled up on my phone. But I will definitely, y'all go to the Grits group, Family, Friends, and Fans on Facebook. Also, we're on TikTok and Instagram. And okay, I'm going to put the link in the description of this video where you can go
Perfect.
to nominate Grits with a Side of Murder. Thank you, Chandler. And there's our dog barking. Are y'all ready to go eat some birthday spaghetti?
Birthday spaghetti!
Birthday spaghetti! Anything y'all want to say before we go?
We love you, Tammy.
We love
Happy
you.
birthday.
I think.
Thank you for everything.
I can't. I just want y'all to
Best
keep coming back.
hostess ever.
Here we go.
Cheers, bitches.
And we're going to let Zydeco Mike take us out.